Okay, so good morning. I was thinking this morning, um, just how hard it is to be in the physical realm when you're an empath, when you're energetically sensitive, when you have a sensitive nervous system, when you're neurodivergent or ADHD or whatever the label is that you identify with. If you're spiritually sensitive, chances are you feel everything. Like me. I feel everything. And for the first part of my life, I would say the first 35 years, it felt like a disability. It felt like something was wrong with me, that I couldn't be in situations or in areas or in relationships. I couldn't show up in life the way that other people showed up in life. It felt like in some way I was a little broken or disabled. And so I went through a period of life upon my spiritual awakening from probably, gosh, I don't know when it started, but let's say 27, when I got married and had to sit next to my husband while he was chewing at the dinner table. And my misophonia became really apparent. And I realized that I could not sit next to him while he chewed. And I had rage showing up, but I loved him so. That was the point where I knew like I could not operate with such a sensitive nervous system. And I didn't have the label of misophonia. I just really thought I was crazy. And that's how most of us feel on this path. We feel crazy. We feel like we look around and we're like, wow, why isn't everyone else's nervous system totally fritz by being in the same room as person X? And then we raise energetically sensitive children. And theoretically, we should be grounded. And I'm talking about me, and not everybody has to be married with children, of course, but we raise energetically sensitive children. And so it's like whack-a-mole or popcorn popping, like my nervous system, their nervous system. I'm the parent, I'm supposed to be regulated. Oh my gosh, who's flipping out, right? And then I have 20 years of like defensively managing my nervous system so I could be the grounded one so that I could ground the people around me when I'm not even grounded. I mean, it's kind of fascinating if you think about it. Just how hard it is to be in a physical body with this nervous system. And I have a spiritual teacher who once said, you know, there are souls lining up for a human experience, for a nervous system. There are souls lining up for this very sensitive nervous system. Because if we're just this light blob, we're just a blob and there's no separation of me and you, and the whole experience of humanity is through the overcoming of separation into oneness, which is our true nature. The only problem is we have this third dimensional physical body that's so loud and is like, and we feel like we're just kind of in the washer machine of life. Is this a common experience or is it just me? Yeah. Yeah. So we spend most of our lives just managing our nervous system. And if I could just simplify it, when I work in the field of healing childhood trauma, but what I would say the number one issue is that most people come in is we're not in the present moment because we're triggered into the sensations of the past, which are wired into our nervous system, which pull us into fight or flight, which make us unhappy. If we have a settled nervous system with a settled breath, then we're in the present moment and everything's chill in the present moment, most likely, unless there's a train coming at you. Every problem is created through the mind and the mind's connection into the past and into a dysregulated set of thoughts and nervous system. I just want to simplify everything here. So then in my path, once I got my thoughts reframed and my emotions in check and knowing what I should be reacting to versus what I shouldn't be reacting to, and then seeing the discrepancy of where I was versus where I wanted to be, It was thought and nervous system management. And the reason why I'm simplifying this is to say that it's only in the last 5 years. I'm 50 years old this year. Only in the last 5 years, truly, that I could start to disidentify with my dysregulated nervous system, because I called it vata imbalance. I called myself an empath. I called myself all of these things, all of these labels that I needed to have in order to even understand the fact that my nervous system was a wreck. It was incredibly sensitive. And then I reorganized my outer world to be easier on my inner world, which is natural, and that's what we do. But the truth is, building a sense of safety means I am honoring my nervous system and working with it 24/7. If someone feels emotionally unsafe, it means that their nervous system in some way is dysregulated and their thoughts are incongruent with the peace and the safety of the present moment. And so when people come in and they say, I feel emotionally unsafe, I'm like, that's not a thing. Even though in therapy it's a thing, emotionally unsafe means that I don't feel okay within myself in a certain circumstance. We always have to start with ourselves. So how is my breath? How is my nervous system? How is my exchange with the person? Did I unknowingly give away my power by not speaking my truth or claiming what I need? So with that, what does it look like to have a sensitive nervous system and to live life in a way where we can go places and not feel immediately rattled? It means that nervous system management is our first priority all the time. Meaning we show up late to the meeting because taking 5 breaths and regaining our center is more important than what anyone thinks about me being late. It means I don't take a flight before noon because I won't have time to wake up, poop, get myself grounded, and then get on the plane. It means rearranging my life so that my nervous system is me and that I can feel regulated before I do anything. Talk about selfish or selfful. It's a self-centered life. And then what happens is my mother doesn't feel like I hate her because I'm so rattled when I'm around her, because I got unrattled before I stepped into the situation with her. So what does that look like in your life? To truly take 100% responsibility for the dysregulation within your nervous system and the thoughts that accompany the dysregulated nervous system, meaning, I don't like my mom, she's so terrible, versus I can't regulate my nervous system for more than 2 hours around my mom. And so I want to set us up for success so I don't have to project my dysregulated nervous system on her. Does that make sense, you guys? It is 100% responsibility for how we feel before we get into a situation with someone. And then we allow the person to be who they are. We allow them the free will to act wherever their consciousness has them at this lifetime, without judgment, without blaming them for how we feel. And I'm looking at a few of you in this room, and I've watched like at least 5 of you do this in your life. Truly take 100% responsibility for how I feel in every moment, such that I can have mastery in my relationships where I can maintain my power and my truth, and I can stay in my heart. Because if you're in fight or flight, it's really hard to be in your heart because you don't first feel safe. I mean, look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We can't feel the divine presence of our heart if our nervous system is rattled unless we become really, really conscious about that. So I just did a college weekend with my daughter, and she's been fighting us on the process the whole time. And I was at the same time working with one of my clients who was texting about her adult daughter. And so it was a beautiful experience to see myself like really keeping my energy nice and solid. A blip would happen, I would stay above the blip, I would bring her back into my resonance. And it was like a full-time job for 48 hours straight, just to hold this nervous system regulation and my vision, concentration. And then when I heard the client struggling with her adult daughter, I was like, oh yeah, it's really hard when they get pissy and they get mean and they get, it's really hard to hold that, but we can hold that. It just takes an incredible amount of concentration and love and 100% responsibility, because it's really easy to blame someone else for how we feel. So let's go and regulate our nervous systems and go into this. And if today you can identify who's the person you get dysregulated around and then blame them for your dysregulation. We all do it. Maybe someone has addiction and we go into their field and we're like, but let's work toward it, because if we are going to come into union, if we're going to yoke into our connection to oneness and the divine, this is mastery. This is boots on the ground, how we do it, how to hold love when someone's just like rattling our cages. Even that language, someone is rattling my cage. Why the hell do I not have 8-inch concrete thick? I'm pouring concrete in my backyard. 8-inch concrete thick walls in my body such that I'm not rattleable. And how can I take 100% responsibility for what I co-create because I allow them to dictate the resonance in the relationship rather than me staying solid for them to just bounce off of? So does everybody have that person? Yeah? You know who that is in your life. Okay, so if you will, get your body nice and comfortable. Tilt your pelvis a little bit so you can get a nice straight spine without a lot of work. So I have like 2 pillows behind me, because if we're going to work with the nervous system, the spine needs to be comfortable. And as you lift your spine and make space, let your belly hang between your thighs. So tilting the pelvis, spreading the legs slightly, taking a nice deep breath into the belly so the belly can hang. And as you breathe into your belly, to your pelvic bowl, take a nice deep breath into the belly, the low back, and the hips. And as you breathe, just give a sigh. Breathing and filling your pelvic bowl. And exhaling with a sigh. Before we do any deeper centering, just notice what it feels like in your body as you imagine being around that person in your life that you feel rattled by. Just breathe and feel where in your body you feel the rattling. Is it in your chest? Is it in your belly or your back? What do you feel like in your body when you're around that person that you feel takes you off center? Is it in your chest, your belly, your back, your bones, your skin? Do you feel dizzy in your head? Do you feel pins and needles coming at you? Your skin? What is the sensation that you don't like when you're around that person? See if you can feel the pranic, the energetic sensation of what it is to be around that person. And as you do, those of you with video on, just show me where it is in your body. Where do you feel it? Okay. So if you were watching, one person pointed at their neck, one person pointed at their chest, one person pointed at their upper belly. And those are related to the chakras. So the person who pointed at their neck, this is about expressing your truth. So when you're around that person, you don't feel like you can express your truth, probably, or you don't feel seen or heard. And that's what you're going for in life, is to be seen and heard in all these. And that's how you give your power away. And the person who pointed at their chest probably doesn't feel cared for or loved. Just give me a nod. Okay, so what you're going for most likely to get from that person is to feel cared for and loved. And the person who pointed at their upper belly might be going for feeling like they retain their power, their truth, control of the situation. They may feel disempowered. Just give me a yacht. Yeah, okay. Okay. So do you see how what they're doing is rattling your, I'm not going to say weak chakra, but it's rattling a chakra within yourself. What they're doing is they're tickling your wound. And where your wound meets your nervous system. Because you wouldn't feel it if in some way, energetically or physically, you didn't have a layer of your energy or physical body intersected. So what that means is you're looking for them to make you feel heard. You're looking for them to make you feel cared for. You're looking for them to show you that you have your power, which means you've given your power away in that relationship. You haven't sovereignly taken responsibility. So the person who said their root tightened, for your safety, that would be your safety. You don't feel safe. And so they are responsible for making you feel safe, seen, heard, loved, powerful. And that's the problem. The problem is you haven't claimed that, or at least become enough aware of that, of like, oh, here we go. I feel unseen. She hasn't asked me a question about myself. She keeps talking about herself. Oh, here we go. I feel more unseen. Yeah. I feel like I don't have a voice. So each of you, as you go into that place in your body, see if you can bring that sensation up and tell me what it would look like for you to not feel that way. What would you need to be thinking in relationship with that person? What consciousness would you need to hold in the presence of that person? Because in this day and age, I can speak to this. They might be on the spectrum. They may not know how to consciously and lovingly hold you in a caring way. Their brain might not work that way. So you might be giving your power over to someone whose brain's not wired in a way to ever even make you feel seen and loved. That's your job. And I'm not making excuses in relationships, but when that's your job and you reverberate that, you won't attract that from that person ever again. Because you won't be going into that relationship looking like you would never meet up with a friend who's blind and then walk away and feel like, oh, they didn't see me at all. How could they not see me? I feel so unseen. You would never walk away from someone who can't see and complain about them not seeing you. You would never step into that relationship wanting to be seen because the person can't see. This is no different. Nobody can make you feel seen or like you matter or that you're loved or that you have power. It's not their responsibility. So if we know that, then why is our body going not seen, not seen? Because there's something within us that we haven't cleaned up in that relationship, and that relationship is mirroring that for us. So I ask you this: what is that person mirroring in you that you haven't healed yet in yourself? And I don't mean go do 2 months of childhood trauma work. I mean, oh, I'm not seeing myself. Oh, I don't matter to myself. So as you feel into how you would need to show up into that relationship, what is it that you need to think or feel? And how do you need to feel that before you step into lunch with that person or Christmas at that house? So try that on, if you will. What would it feel like to feel worthy, loved, heard, stepping foot into that situation? What would it feel like to need nothing from that person in order to feel okay? You would have to drop a story. What story do you need to drop about that person in order to own that? And how has that story served you? That story of powerlessness. My relationship with my mother healed when I didn't need her to be any different than she was. So, what would it feel like to not need that person to change or to see when they are blind? So, if you will, begin to feel that in your body. We're not going into deep meditation today, we're trying on sensations. What does it feel like? Where do you feel that worthiness, that love, that mattering as you step in? And again, you need an 8-inch thick cement wall to step into that relationship again. Sturdy, thick, solid. What does it feel like to feel that solid, that worthy, that loved, that seen? And what is that sensation in your body? Is it in the same place in your body or is it different? And if you can't get it, just think of a relationship where you feel that, where you feel loved or seen, safe. What's the sensation of feeling that rock solid? What is it like to step into a room with that person with one-way energy. So now go ahead and bring it in. Take a nice deep breath and pull the light up your spine. And then exhale and push the light all the way down like rebar, down the tailbone, into the earth, one pillar of light. And then on the next breath, breathe into the heart. And exhale that violet flame out into the space around you, creating a nice, thick, strong, solid. And now, like, those fake sumo wrestlers with the big puffy, now walk in to that situation, safe, energy flowing from above and below, through your heart outward, not needing them to give you your safety, connection, worthiness, love, seen, heard, matter. And just being in the present moment, watching them do their Jennifer show or whatever their name is. They're just doing their thing. Just notice what it feels like to hold yourself anchored, being fully responsible to give yourself care, worthiness, safety, and being so inwardly attentive to your sensations. Breathing into that upper belly for that nervous system. That you're not even focused on what they're doing. You're too focused on caring for yourself, tending to your nervous system. Hold that feeling of sovereignty. And you're flexible like the branches of a tree. This is our work. Tending to ourselves in the presence of the person. Allowing the person to be exactly who and how they are. And trusting that they're doing the very best they can. Even if they're a hot mess, this is their best. But just because they're a hot mess doesn't mean you have to be a hot mess. You get to be grounded, stable, one-way energy. So if you will, make a promise to yourself right now that you will not abandon yourself when you're with that person the next time you're with them. That you will not jump out of yourself into their energy, but you will be so tightly sealed into your own care. And that it is only in your abandonment of yourself that you will resonate with their frequency, which doesn't feel good. So as you promise yourself that you'll never abandon yourself, that you will take care of yourself in the presence of that person so that you don't blame them for your lack of alignment. And if you will, work with me on a little bit of forgiveness as we release them from being responsible for our vibration in the relationship. So just picturing them. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I made you responsible for how I felt. I'm so sorry for putting that on you. Please forgive me. Please forgive me for blaming you and making it about you. Please forgive me. Please release me from your happiness. Please release me from the responsibility of your vibration. Please release me and please forgive me. Thank you. Thank you for allowing us to cut the cords of being responsible for each other. Thank you. I love you. I return back to oneness with you. I love you. Thank you. I love you. And if you will, begin to seal this. Seal this consciousness, this sovereignty consciousness, if you will. Seal it. Savor it. And anchor it in by saying, and so it is. And so it is done, and so it will be. Amen.